There is a kind of tiredness that sleep does not fix. You know the one. The tiredness that is there before you open your eyes in the morning. The one that has nothing to do with how many hours you rested. The one that comes from carrying, year after year, the weight of wanting things to be different than they are. Someone came to Anandamayi Ma carrying exactly this. They asked for her blessing to live a disciplined, restrained life. To go home and finally live in a way that felt right. She listened. And then she said something that was not quite a blessing and not quite a rebuke. It was something closer to a loving diagnosis. She said, "You are a child of the immortal, traveling with the company of death. Stop doing that. Not harshly, not with judgment. With the directness of someone who can see clearly what the other person cannot yet see about themselves." She said, "You have made the wrong things your goal. You have made what is harmful your beloved. And this is why you are born and you die. Born and die. Cutting the same return ticket again and again. The return ticket. That image should stop you. Every time we orient our deepest longing toward something perishable, toward an object, a relationship, a status, a feeling that comes and goes, we are, she said, booking a return journey. We arrive. We lose what we came for. We leave. We return. The cycle continues not because the universe is cruel, but because we keep asking the temporary world to give us something that only the eternal can provide. She said, "Walk the path of Vedanta or walk the path of Bhakti. Either way, find your way to your own self. That is the only journey that does not end in another departure." Then she spoke about time, about the hours of the day that most people waste without realizing what they're wasting. She said there are 4 sacred junctions in every 24 hours. Brahma Muhurta, the hour before dawn. Midday, evening, midnight. At these moments, she said, there is a particular quality of power available, a particular quality of stillness, a particular opening. Brahma Muhurta, the hour before dawn, she called the hour of nectar. Amrit Bela, the time when something sacred is present in the air itself. She said sleeping through this hour is not merely a lost opportunity. It is drinking from the wrong source at the exact moment when the right source is freely available. She said some people sleep until 8 in the morning and never feel the atmosphere of Brahma Muhurta even once in their lives. They wake up already inside the noise, already inside the day, already managing, never having touched the silence that was available to them before all of it began. And then she said something that should pierce anyone who has ever felt that their spiritual life was somehow not quite real, not quite taking root. She said, even at midnight, there is power. The great saints practice at midnight. Lord Krishna himself was born at midnight. The worship of Shakti happens at night. Yogis sleep during the day and remain awake at night because they know where the nectar is. She was not prescribing insomnia. She was describing a different relationship to time itself. A relationship in which the ordinary schedule of a conditioned life is examined gently, honestly, and asked, does this serve what I'm actually here for? She said, in the stillness of the midnight hour, sit and try to gather the mind. Great Mahatmas guide sincere seekers in subtle ways during this time. Some people experience visions. Some feel afraid. Some find their meditation so deep that even if someone sits beside them, they do not notice. Birds come and sit on Mahatmas in deep meditation, without the Mahatma even knowing. That is the depth of absorption that becomes possible when the mind finally stops its restless movement and rests in something larger than itself. She talked about the mind. Someone asked, why do we meditate? What is the point of all this inner work? She used an image so simple it almost disappears on first hearing. She said, just as clouds, when they move away, reveal the sun that was always shining behind them. So when the covering of ignorance is removed, the sun of knowledge, which was always self-luminous, will shine. The sun does not need to be created. It is already there, has always been there. The only problem is the cloud, and the cloud is the mind. Not in its entirety, but the mind in its habitual movement of claiming, comparing, wanting, fearing. The mind that says this is mine and that is not mine. The mind that divides the undivided. She was asked, if the mind is destroyed, how will anything function? And she gave an answer that the great Ramana Maharshi would have recognized immediately. She said, where the mind has been dissolved, the question of how things will function simply does not arise, because the one who was asking that question was itself the mind. When the mind dissolves into its source, what remains is not absence. What remains is the awareness that was always already there, functioning spontaneously, naturally, without the friction of a separate self, trying to manage everything. She said, the mind has no gross form. You cannot point to it. You cannot hold it. What you call the mind is simply the movement of thought, the constant arising of intention and doubt, desire and resistance. When that movement ceases to claim ownership of experience, what is revealed is not emptiness. It is fullness. Someone asked her about the guru, about initiation, whether formal diksha was necessary. She was silent for a moment. Then she said, whether through the gaze, through touch, or through the giving of mantra, the essential thing is that the guru's power is transmitted. The form matters less than the transmission. What must happen is that something real passes from the one who has found the self to the one who is still searching for it. She said, Initiation can happen through the eyes, through touch, through mantra. There are many ways, but what must be received is the Guru's Shakti, the living power that does not come from books or from intellectual understanding, but from direct transmission of what has been directly realized. She said, if the light of the Guru has already illuminated the mind inwardly, then the outer ritual of initiation will naturally follow in its own time. The inner must come first. The outer follows. This is a teaching that cuts through a great deal of confusion about spiritual life. The question is not which lineage, which tradition, which method. The question is whether the transmission has happened, whether something real has been recognized, whether the light has been seen, even briefly, even partially. If it has, everything else arranges itself. She spoke about how to live an ordinary day. Rise early. Bow to the earth. She said to do this literally, to touch the earth in the morning and pray. O Mother Earth, you are so patient, so enduring. Give me the strength to endure joy and sorrow both. May anger never overcome me. Then bow to the sun, not merely as a gesture. She said the sun is a symbol of knowledge itself, of the light that illuminates everything. To bow to it with genuine reverence is to orient yourself at the very beginning of the day toward what you are actually here to find. She said, carry the awareness of God through the entire day. Rise and sit and walk and work with that awareness as the background of everything. Treat all work as service. See the entire world as God's temple. Be the manager of your life, she said, not the owner. She compared it to a machine that runs 24 hours, like a mill that turns constantly. In the same way, morning and evening, meditate, chant, and throughout the entire day, in every rising and sitting, carry the thought of God. Do all work as an offering to Him, and at night before sleep, examine the day. Not with self-criticism, with honesty. Whatever mistakes were made, ask forgiveness for them. Not loudly, not dramatically, but inwardly, sincerely. Whoever you wronged in thought or word or action, ask their forgiveness in the silence of your own heart before you close your eyes. She said, do this, and the quality of your inner life will slowly, steadily, irresistibly begin to change. Not because you forced it, because you created the conditions in which something that was always already trying to grow in you finally has room to grow. She spoke about Sattva, about the food we eat and the company we keep, and the quality of the environment we create around ourselves. She said, eat sattvic food, not as a religious rule, because what you take into the body affects what arises in the mind. The person who eats carelessly and lives carelessly will find that their mood swings like a pendulum. Their mind refuses to settle. Their meditation produces nothing but more restlessness. She said, satsang, meditation, japa, the name of God. These are the instruments. Hold them consistently. Not because God needs your chanting, because your mind needs it. Your mind, left to its own devices, will go toward whatever it has been conditioned to go toward. Give it a better direction, consistently, and over time the direction becomes natural. She said, if the mind becomes attached to God, self-restraint comes by itself. You do not have to force it. You do not have to white-knuckle your way through spiritual discipline. When the love is real, the restraint follows naturally, the way a river flows naturally toward the sea without being pushed. Near the end, she said something so simple and so complete that everything else in the conversation can be understood as preparation for hearing it. She said, as long as you hold on to two, the world will not leave you. When you hold on to one, you will find peace. Two means me and everything else, the subject and the world, the one who is seeking and the thing being sought, the self and God. One means the recognition that what you have been searching for was never actually separate from what was searching. She told the story of Lord Krishna and the gopis. A gopi asks him, "Why do you steal butter?" And Krishna answers, "I am present in all forms. There is no other. So who is stealing and from whom?" This is not theology. This is the most direct possible description of what happens when the sense of separation dissolves. There is no longer a thief and a victim, no longer a seeker and the sought, no longer you and God. There is only the one, playing, knowing itself, in and as everything that appears. She called this the end of the return ticket. When you finally know what you are, truly know, not as an idea, but as the living recognition that Anandamayi Ma herself embodied every moment of her life, you stop booking the journey back. You are already home. You were always already home. The only thing that was ever missing was the recognition of that. And she spent her entire life in conversations like this one, in silence, in the quality of her presence that filled every room she entered, offering that recognition to anyone willing to receive it. She is still offering it through these words, through this silence, through whatever it is in you that recognized something true in what you just heard and did not want it to end. That recognition is not nothing. That is the beginning. If something in this conversation touched you, if something here felt like it was speaking directly to you and not just about ancient teachings, then you are already on the path she was describing. Stay on it. There is more waiting for you.